Okay, let me give you another example. It's not in the notes. In the last 10 years, a particular researcher specializes in dinosaur research, paleontology. That means paleontology is the science of study of fossil bones and so on. Mary Schweitzer, a great researcher on this field. And in the last 10 years, every year she has discovered new T-Rex and other dinosaur bones. But in this last 10 years, the thing that puzzled her was that these bones still got blood on it, still got tissue on it, some meat on it, collagen on it. So, although she was an evolutionist, she cannot figure out how come these bones, this blood can last for 600 million years. How can it be? She said she tried to put some blood into a test tube and expose to air. In 2 weeks, she cannot find any blood left because bacteria would have chewed it up and it has changed in 2 weeks. But now, in her mind, it must be millions and millions of years, but yet you got blood on these bones. So, she gradually concluded that maybe these creatures didn't die millions of years ago. And biblical records would be 5,000 years, or 4,005. That's the period of the flood. It's only 4,005. Okay, so she wrote to the editor of this prestigious scientific magazine trying to put forth her theory that the T-Rex bones are probably thousands of years and not millions and millions. So the editor threw it out and said, no, this cannot be true. But she said, all my evidences, 10 years, all the evidences show it this way. She said, no, it's not true. I don't accept it. So she asked this editor the question, what must I do to prove to you that it's not millions of years? What evidence must I come up? And the editor said, none. In other words, my mind is made up. Whatever proof is no use, I reject. It's just like talking to Mr. Dawkins. He says, proof of intelligent design. All other scientists agree there's intelligent design. He says, no. So in this article, I put, what else proof? What are the key sciences that show creation and not evolution? So if you see in my notes, you got 3 words that I need to explain, and then I hope I can get some info across. According to my notes, we know there are 3 fields of that shows there is God. There's cosmology. Try and learn these words. And there's biology. But of course, there are others. Maybe I start with cosmology. Cosmology is a science on the study of the stars. And one of the pioneer scientists was called Kepler. You see his name in science books, Kepler, as the greatest in the study of the stars. Kepler was a brilliant scholar. He in his research, he came up with, could identify, he looked at the stars and he was amazed. And he had to do calculations on the speed that stars travel and so on. And mathematically, he came up with this formula. Kepler discovered that if you have the sun here, and that the orbit is not round, it is elliptical. Elliptical means it is smaller on this side and bigger on this side. That's called an ellipse. Okay, you got it? Right. Kepler discovered that the orbit of all the stars follow an orbit that is elliptical, not round. So he wanted to know if you have an even speed, then it will have to travel a long way, and actually it is more like here. The sun is here. So it has to travel in a path that this is nearer to the sun. This is further from the sun. So he discovered that the speed when the sun, when the planet moves around the sun at this end, he found that it moves faster. And then he found that the speed when it's moving away from the sun, it was slower. Then he came up with so if this is the distance, it's called r. Okay. This is r1. This radius is r2. He was the one who mathematically discovered that r1 divided by r2 equals T1 to T2 equals a constant. Now, in engineering and astronomy, you need to know what's a constant, because a constant will help you to calculate. If nothing is a constant, you cannot calculate speed. He found that the speed here is faster than here. And then there's the time taken to travel this arc and this arc is quite same distance, but this is faster, this slower. So he was so amazed by it, and he said, who is controlling this speed? Year after year. He said, it must be God, because every planet travels around a sun, has to follow their orbit and follow a certain speed. Otherwise, you cannot get exactly, for planet Earth, 365.1 days per year to go around the sun. It's controlled very tightly. Even the speed varies, but it's controlled. So Kepler was very clear that it's the hand of God. Now, cosmology is this kind of thing. You know, gravitational forces, interaction between planets, orbital path, when the Earth have to tilt for the 23.5 degrees. That's why when you go to a bookshop to buy a globe, you find that it is angled one side, right? The Word of God says, God hangs all these planets upon nothing. Of course, one mayor was telling us about one day he was giving a talk like this and said, God hanged the earth upon nothing. And one lady from India said, Mr. Mayor, you're wrong. It's not upon nothing. So Mr. Mayor thought she knew something he didn't know. So where is it hanging? Oh, it's not hanging. It is resting on the back of a tortoise. So to humor her, Dr. Mayor asked, so where is the tortoise resting his legs on? She said, I know you're going to ask this question. Well, the answer is this. The legs of the first tortoise is resting on the body of the second tortoise. So what about the next one? Oh, you calculate very easy. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth. And then you go all the way down. So then finally where it rests, well, that's your problem, not my problem. You ask me where the earth rests on, so I say it's a tortoise. Now, so cosmology in every area, when they've discovered the Hubble telescope, you know, Mr. Hubble invented this radio telescope that peered far into the universe, and he discovered that every star that's shining actually is a galaxy with billions of stars. So every time you now go to the seaside at night, I know you young guys, you pak tor, you go to the seaside, right? But please look up the skies and say, look at the stars. You know, if the stars are spaced just like the lights here, it's not very interesting. But it's all spread out. And every star there, Hubble discovered it was actually a galaxy of moving planets. And billions of galaxies all follow a set path called the orbit. So we say cosmology clearly shows intelligent design. If it doesn't, we are in trouble. Jupiter might come too close and then squeeze us, and that's the end of the world. So it's all controlled. All right, that's cosmology.